As I sat in the vast expanse of the desert, the email arrived, divorce papers, a stark reminder of the life I was leaving behind. After 13 years of shared life, the conclusion arrived in the form of a PDF attachment. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Ethan, a 42-year-old staff sergeant proudly serving with the 82nd Airborne. 4 months into my time in Kandahar, Emily reached her breaking point and declared she was finished with waiting. The subject line proclaimed, "Let us approach this matter with maturity." It was a brief communication consisting of just 3 sentences. She had already submitted the necessary paperwork. She had already drained our shared account. She had already made the decision to move her new boyfriend Travis into our house in Spokane. After reading the email twice, I closed my laptop and stepped into the communal stall for a shower. I dressed for my shift in silence, exchanging no words with anyone. As I returned to my bunk that night, I offered a single word, in response understood. That was it. No argument, no pleading, no threats. Connor, my bunkmate, sensed that something was amiss. "You good, man?" he asked, his eyes still glued to the pages of his book. "Indeed," I remarked, "merely a few matters from back home." With a nod, he sealed the moment, and thus it came to a close. Those in the military understand the importance of knowing when to let things be. To be honest, I found no shock in it. 6 months prior to deployment, subtle shifts had begun to unfold. Emily ceased her inquiries about my day, began putting in extra hours at the dental office where she fielded calls, took up a routine at the gym 3 times a week, yet never appeared to exert herself, sported new outfits, made new acquaintances I had never encountered, and changed her phone passwords. I chose not to confront her, refraining from checking her messages or trailing her. That's simply not my nature. Yet I was not oblivious to the unfolding events, and thus I took subtle actions of my own. Nothing overly dramatic, merely taking precautions. In a storage unit tucked away across town, I carefully placed my important documents, the birth certificate, the marriage license, and the house deed, which proudly bears only my name, a testament to the VA loan. Alongside these, I stored the paperwork for my military benefits, ensuring everything was safe and sound. I placed my grandfather's watch alongside my mum's cherished old silver items that held significance. In a calculated move, I decided to open a separate account at another bank. I began to divert a portion of my paycheck there, just enough to remain under her radar, yet sufficient to ensure I wouldn't be starting from scratch if circumstances took a turn for the worse. The evening prior to my deployment, she wrapped her arms around me at the airport and whispered, "Stay safe, all right?" Her eyes were parched, as if bidding farewell to a colleague rather than a spouse departing for battle. In that moment, a flicker of doubt lingered within me, a quiet whisper urging me to believe I might be mistaken. I was not. Unbeknownst to her, I had meticulously prepared for this very moment, and little did she grasp that I am not one to initiate conflict, yet I do see them through to the end. It was in the summer of 2010 when I first crossed paths with Emily at a friend's barbecue. Home between tours, I found myself staying with my buddy Matt in Spokane. She had nearly completed her nursing school journey, yet fate led her to an unexpected path, finding herself in an administrative role at a dental practice instead. She spoke of a life with less stress. 8 months later, we exchanged vows and became husband and wife. Emily often expressed her pride in my service, even if she never fully grasped its essence. Her father held the position of a bank manager, while her brother pursued a career as a pharmacist. There was no military presence in her family. She would inquire about when I planned to secure a real job, unaware that after 15 years, the army had become my career, not merely a way to pass the time. In the year 2014, we made the decision to purchase our house. It wasn't extravagant, yet it belonged to us. In a tranquil neighborhood, there lies a charming abode featuring 3 cozy bedrooms and a modest yard, perfect for peaceful living. Though the mortgage bore solely my name as the VA loan was in my name, I chose to add her to the deed, for sharing is what married people do. My father passed away a year after our wedding, succumbing to a heart attack while shoveling snow. 3 years later, my mum succumbed to lung cancer, despite never having smoked a single day in her life. They left me a sum of money, not an extravagant amount, but sufficient for Emily and me to settle her student loans and maintain a comfortable buffer. Throughout our marriage, I found myself deployed 4 times, twice to Iraq and twice to Afghanistan. With every return home, I noticed Emily drifting further away, her restlessness growing as if she were trapped in a part she no longer fit. I never signed up to be a military wife. She confided to me one day, her voice tinged with a mix of frustration and resignation after I brought up the idea of extending my service for another 4 years. Loneliness has become a constant companion, and I find myself weary of its presence. I grasped that I really did, yet the army was the sole realm where I ever sensed a genuine sense of belonging. I excelled in my role. There were those who relied on me. In 2019, the winds of change began to stir, subtle at first, like whispers in the air. Emily felt a surge of irritation when I called during her girls' night. She launched into a story about her friend Nicole, who had divorced her husband and was now embracing life to the fullest. As she spoke, she made pointed remarks about how it seemed we no longer shared much in common. I proposed seeking counseling. She mentioned that we were merely navigating a phase. Then there were the late nights at work, the weekends spent with friends I had yet to meet, the fresh clothes, and the gym membership she seldom utilized. I ought to have faced her. However, that is not the way I approach matters. I have never done that. My dad instilled in me the importance of pausing to reflect before voicing my thoughts, ensuring certainty before taking action. As I observed, I readied myself in silence, for an instinct deep within me whispered that something was on the horizon. In this journey of life, one comes to understand the importance of trusting one's instincts. It had been 2 weeks since the divorce email arrived, and there I was seated in the mess hall when my phone buzzed unexpectedly. A message from our banking application, another withdrawal, $8,500, nearly depleting the remaining balance. With a gentle clink, I placed my fork aside and turned my attention to the app, eager to see what awaited me on the screen. With a heavy heart, I noted that the joint account balance had dwindled to a mere $212.37. All of our savings, a hard-earned $47,000 accumulated over the years, had vanished entirely. A sum appeared in an account that was unfamiliar to me. Sean, a member of my unit, cast a sidelong glance. Unfortunate tidings, I secured my phone with a lock. No, it's merely some account-related matters. That evening I reached out to our bank using the base phone center. It became clear that Emily had been orchestrating a series of financial maneuvers for weeks, starting with modest sums and gradually escalating to more substantial transfers. The significant transfers commenced the very next day after my deployment. I hung up the phone and lingered in the hallway, observing the men around me as they laughed, reaching out to their children, their wives, their parents. Life carried on as usual for everyone else, while my own existence was engulfed in flames. It was then that Connor discovered my presence. "Alvarez mentioned that you appeared as if you'd encountered a ghost during dinner," he remarked. "What's going on? Typically, I keep my personal life to myself, yet there was a time when Connor rescued me from a dire predicament in Kandahar. My trust in him was unwavering. My wife cleared out our accounts and brought her boyfriend to live in our home," I said. "Last week, while I was on patrol, I received the divorce papers. Connor spared me the typical nonsense. 'I'm afraid not, that's unfortunate, or you'll discover someone more suited for you.' He simply inquired, 'What's your plan?' 'I'm not quite certain at this moment,' I replied. With a subtle nod, he acknowledged the moment. 'If there's anything you require, just let me know.' On that particular night, sleep eluded me. As I retrieved my laptop, I logged into our home security system, a detail that Emily likely overlooked regarding my ability to access it from afar. The cameras revealed an unusual truck parked in our driveway, a stranger I had never encountered before, taking our dog for a walk, sipping from my coffee mug, clad in my Seahawks sweatshirt. And there was Emily, her laughter echoing from the kitchen I had painstakingly renovated during my last leave. A change stirred within me. Not quite anger, you see. a chill that cuts through a clarity that shines. With a decisive motion, I shut the laptop and reached for my phone, ready to create a list. Reach out to David, the army buddy who transitioned into a career as a lawyer. Examine the terms of the VA loan. Reach out to Master Sergeant regarding emergency leave. Peruse the home refinance documents, a topic Emily brought up in passing last year. Please verify the security measures in place for my military pension accounts. The sadness had lifted, leaving no trace behind. Anger didn't even touch me. A sense of focus enveloped me as if I were strategizing for a mission ahead. This was no longer a matter of feeling. This was a tale of strategy. At 0500, just before my shift began, I composed an email to David, the subject line reading, "Need legal help, discreet and urgent." An hour passed before his reply arrived. Reach out to me, but only through a secure line. As I ended that call, a clear sense of purpose washed over me, illuminating the path I was meant to take. There was no need for me to raise my voice. There was no need for me to resort to threats. Confrontation was unnecessary for me. All I had to do was bide my time, observing as her own choices wove the snare around her. After 2 months had passed, I found myself once again on American soil. Without a word to Emily, I made my way home. No calls, no texts, just a quiet arrival at a motel in downtown Spokane where I registered under an alias before reaching out to David. It was at a diner, a modest establishment 10 miles beyond the town's edge, where our paths first crossed. "You look like hell," he remarked, easing himself into the booth. I echoed the sentiment, feeling it as well. With a deliberate motion, David extended his hand, presenting me with a folder. "I've gathered all the items we talked about, the house deed, loan documents, bank statements, and this as well." He retrieved a distinct sheet of paper. "I stumbled upon something intriguing while exploring your finances. There lay a refinance application adorned with a signature that seemed familiar, yet it was not truly mine, not entirely. Someone had attempted to replicate it, yet the finer details eluded them. The middle initial was incorrect, and the stroke pattern did not belong to me." "Emily did this?" I inquired, even though the answer was already clear to me. With a subtle nod, David acknowledged the moment. "It was 3 months ago. Leveraged the equity to withdraw $30,000. Your signature is necessary for that, as the VA loan is solely in your name. Forge my signature, take out a loan against our house, then clear out our accounts and divorce me," I said. A woman with a full schedule. "It gets better," David said. "She included her boyfriend as a co-applicant. He carries a history with him. In 2019, there were 2 DUIs and a charge of fraud." As I inhaled deeply, a sense of calm washed over me. "What choices do I have?" Several, David remarked. "Yet before anything else, you must determine your desires." As I pondered the matter, I seek what is rightfully mine, and I wish for her to grasp the implications of her actions. With a gentle curve of his lips, David smiled. "So here's the plan." The following day, I found myself driving by our home. Though her boyfriend's truck had vanished, Emily's car remained parked in the driveway. I found a spot to park down the street, my gaze fixed on the house as I lingered in the shadows of indecision. The thought of knocking on the door crossed my mind, the urge to confront her bubbling beneath the surface, yet I reminded myself that this was not how I intended to proceed. Instead, I made my way to the bank where I encountered the loan officer responsible for my refinance. I presented my military ID, revealed the authentic signature on my driver's license, and laid bare the forged documents before him. His face turned ashen. "I must report this without delay." "I comprehend," I replied. "I have already taken the step of filing a police report." On that particular night, a message from Emily illuminated my screen. "Whom have you been conversing with at the bank?" Travis mentioned that there was someone inquiring about things. Silence enveloped my thoughts, and I chose not to reply. The following day, I made my way to the county clerk's office, where I filed the necessary paperwork to contest the refinance on the grounds of fraud. I also registered a formal notice asserting that no alterations to the property could occur without my presence. It was 2 days later when Emily picked up the phone to call. I allowed it to slip into voicemail. "Ethan, it's time for a conversation." A call from the bank arrived regarding the house. "What are you up to? If this conversation pertains to the divorce, let's approach it with maturity and respect." Similar to grown-ups, the identical phrases from her email, I remained silent. That afternoon, David made the call. "They put a hold on the refinance funds, and that's not all. Your wife's boyfriend has indeed been taking your truck for a spin, hasn't he? The one that bears your name?" "Indeed. This morning he found himself pulled over the weight of his suspended license from those DUIs hanging over him. The vehicle was impounded. It was good, I remarked. Within the confines of the truck he possessed a collection of intriguing items, prescription pads from the dental office where Emily spends her days. They were far from empty. With my eyes shut tight, I surrendered to the moment. "So she's been pilfering prescription pads, has she? It appears so. The investigation by the police is currently underway." I placed the phone down and settled onto the edge of the motel bed. This was growing beyond what I had anticipated. A part of me felt compelled to reach out to Emily to give her a heads up. Time-worn practices. Yet a thought struck me. The security camera footage lingered in my mind. My humble abode, my loyal companion, my journey through life, cast aside as if it held no value. This was the path now numbered and defined. There was no way to retreat, and truthfully, I had no desire to do so. The following morning, I found myself in the company of the bank fraud investigator. The name was Parker. A diminutive figure, his weary eyes spoke of countless sleepless nights, while a coffee stain marred the otherwise pristine fabric of his tie. "This happens more often than you'd think," he remarked as he spread documents across his desk. "My partner is being deployed. One partner perceives a chance." "What unfolds next?" I inquired. "The funds from the fraudulent refinance have been frozen, yet a complication has arisen. Part of the money has already vanished. What is the cost?" "Approximately 50%. $14,600. I leaned in closer. "Where has it vanished?" to Parker, paused, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. "It's not within my purview to disclose that information. This is my home. My name is forged. My money was stolen." He nodded with a deliberate slowness, then pivoted his computer screen to face me. "The transfers from the refinance account are as follows." I perused the list. There were several transfers made to an individual known as Adam Spencer. It was not Travis, a person I was completely unfamiliar with. "Who's Adam Spencer?" I inquired. Parker offered a casual shrug. "While it may not fall under my responsibilities, I recommend reaching out to your lawyer to request a subpoena for these records." As I stepped out of the bank, I immediately dialed David's number. "Adam Spencer," he echoed. "Allow me to conduct a check." After an hour had passed, he made the call again. "Understood." In the bustling world of real estate, one name stands out: Adam Spencer, a dedicated agent navigating the intricate landscape of property transactions, focuses on swift transactions and cash agreements. I mentioned that she intended to sell our house. The moment struck me with the force of a tangible impact. It appears so. It seemed likely that the deposit served as earnest money, a nudge to prompt him into action regarding a listing. Yet this is where the intrigue begins. Spencer had previously engaged in business dealings with Travis Ryan. "Travis Ryan, is that your wife's boyfriend?" "Indeed, it is." In the span of 2 years, they have successfully closed 3 deals together. As I settled onto the park bench, I found myself grappling with the weight of it all. This was more than just Emily choosing another man over me. This was what a meticulously orchestrated endeavor, perhaps David replied with caution. I embarked on a journey to uncover the details surrounding Travis Ryan. He follows a distinct pattern, engages with women navigating the challenges of divorce or those whose spouses are deployed. So far, I have come across 3 cases. With each passing transaction, the woman's residence is sold at a price that falls significantly short of its true market worth, finding its way into the hands of one of Spencer's clients. Ryan sustains a cut. With that, he continues on his journey. And what of Emily? Did she really know about this? It's difficult to determine. Perhaps she is a victim as well, or perhaps she is complicit in it all. I pressed my palms against my skin, feeling the texture beneath my fingertips. No longer was this merely a tale of Emily's betrayal against me. This was something grander, a deliberate action. Other military families had also suffered as victims. What actions shall we take? I inquired. I've already reached out to the FBI's Financial Crimes Division, David remarked. This spans across state borders, engages military personnel, and pertains to VA loans. They show a keen interest. As the night enveloped the motel room, I found myself nursing a beer, lost in contemplation of it all. Questions swirled in my mind, pondering whether Emily had been orchestrating a performance throughout our marriage, or if she had simply fallen prey to Travis's elaborate plot. Questioning whether it truly held any significance, my phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. Once more, it's Emily. Ethan. I would appreciate it if you could give me a call. There are whispers from the bank regarding fraud, and Travis found himself in handcuffs for taking your truck for a spin. Confusion envelops me, leaving me in a haze of uncertainty. For what felt like an eternity, my gaze lingered on the message. Then I inquired, "Who is Adam?" "Spencer." 3 dots flickered into existence as she began to type, hesitated, resumed, and then paused once more. "At last I'm at a loss regarding what you're referring to." 14,600, I inscribed, a series of transfers. "Are you looking for a house listing?" Silence lingered for 10 minutes. "Then it's not as you imagine." With a gentle flick of my finger, I silenced my phone, surrendering to the embrace of the night as I slipped beneath the covers and drifted into slumber. As dawn broke, David picked up the phone and made the call. "The FBI has requested a meeting. For months now, the investigation into Ryan and Spencer has been ongoing. You may not be the first, yet you could very well be the one to shatter the mold." For the first time since receiving that divorce email, a sense of satisfaction washed over me. It wasn't merely the end of my marriage that weighed on me. It was the dawning realization that the truth was finally surfacing. In the bustling heart of Spokane, I found myself sitting across from the FBI agents at their field office, the air thick with anticipation and purpose. Agent Harris and Agent Brooks stood side by side, their presence commanding attention. They meticulously recorded my statement, ensuring they took copies of all the documents that David and I had painstakingly gathered. "Your case helps establish a pattern," Agent Harris explained. "Demonstrates a clear purpose and structure, framing it as a conspiracy instead of mere isolated events." "What is the story of Emily?" I inquired. "My wife, my former wife." The agents cast glances at one another. Brooks spoke with caution. "We're still assessing her level of involvement." "Did she ever speak of struggles with finances?" "Is there a sense of urgency to sell the house?" As I reflected on the past, she repeatedly insisted that we were house poor, urging us to consider downsizing. I found no reason to do so. With my salary, our mortgage payments felt within reach. Harris took a moment to jot down a note. "When did that begin?" "Approximately 6 months prior. At the moment, she likely encountered Travis." "What about the refinance?" Brooks inquired. "It was never brought up in conversation with me. While I was away on deployment, she took it upon herself to forge my signature." They inquired further, jotting down additional notes. As we wrapped up, Harris extended her card to me. "We shall reach out to you soon. For now, it's best to avoid confronting your wife or Ryan. It is essential that we construct this case with great care." I gave a slight nod. "Got it." As the sun dipped below the horizon, I found myself navigating the familiar roads of our neighborhood, once more, finally bringing my car to a stop a little way down the street from our home. Travis's truck had returned, likely retrieved from the impound lot. Emily's car had vanished into thin air. As I sat there, my phone buzzed, breaking the silence. Emily's words echo through the air. "It's important that we have this conversation face to face. Let's rendezvous at Riverfront Park tomorrow. Cale Patamoni." The following morning, as we sat down for breakfast, I shared the text with David. "Please don't go," he urged. "Engaging in conversation with her at this moment seems futile." "I shall not," I declared. Yet my curiosity lingers about her activities today, all the while believing I'm on my way to meet her. At 9:30 a.m. we made our way to our house parking just across the street. At 9:45 Emily emerged from her home, slid into her car, and set off steering toward Riverfront Park. "What comes next?" David inquired. "Now we wait," I remarked. 20 minutes passed, and then a car arrived. The logo of the real estate agent graces the door. Once there was a man named Adam Spencer. Travis stepped forward to welcome him. In the driveway their conversation flowed, and soon they made their way indoors. "Are we meant to follow them?" David inquired. I shook my head in disbelief. "No need. Last year I took the step of installing security cameras both inside and outside my home. They send their files to the cloud where they can be safely stored and accessed any time." With a gentle curve of his lips, David smiled. That detail wasn't brought up earlier. "It never crossed my mind," I remarked as I retrieved my phone. I activated the security app, tilting the screen just right for David to catch a glimpse. In the cozy confines of our living room, Spencer and Travis found themselves immersed in conversation. Spencer found himself immersed in the art of photography, capturing moments one click at a time. Travis gestured towards the various features of the house. I cranked up the volume. Spencer was saying it should be listed by the end of the week. A buyer has already expressed interest. As is customary, a cash offer. "What is the cost?" Travis inquired. $420. We set our price at $470, but they come back with an offer of $420. All are filled with joy. What of the husband? Emily claims he's stirring up trouble. Spencer waved his hand in a dismissive manner. All military guys share a common thread. They create a clamor, yet they bear the weight of deployments and responsibilities. He'll accept a settlement to put an end to it all. I shifted my gaze to David. "Are you receiving this?" He had his phone out, capturing the feed as it unfolded, each and every word. I sent the security feed access to Agent Harris, accompanied by a brief note, "Currently unfolding." Half an hour passed, and suddenly our home found itself encircled by a fleet of FBI vehicles. From my vantage point down the street, I observed as agents escorted Spencer and Travis, their wrists bound in handcuffs. The sound of my phone ringing pierced the silence. Agent Harris. She revealed that they were caught on tape discussing the fraud scheme. In addition, there are elements of conspiracy wire fraud and the attempt to sell property under false pretenses. "A formal statement from you will be necessary." "Certainly," I replied. "And what of Mr. Briggs? Your wife has just made her entrance at the scene. She is in a state of distress." I cast my gaze down the street. Emily stood on our lawn, her hands covering her mouth, eyes wide, as she observed the FBI agents methodically transporting boxes of documents from our home. "What unfolds for her?" I inquired. "That depends," Harris said. "Based on her understanding and your desires." I observed Emily intently for a prolonged moment. 13 years spent in the journey of marriage. In those early days, everything felt promising. Before this had transformed into whatever it is now. All I seek is what is just. At last I spoke. The federal case unfolded with remarkable speed. In a twist of fate, Travis and Spencer found themselves entangled in a web of plea deals, each pointing fingers at the other, and a host of conspirators in a sprawling operation that spanned 3 states, all aimed at military families. Emily insisted that she was completely unaware of the broader plan. Travis had managed to persuade her that I was stashing away money, scheming to abandon her with nothing to show for it. He claimed that the refinance was his idea. She had merely acquiesced to the flow of events. Perhaps that held some truth, perhaps it was not. In the end, she found herself agreeing to a settlement. The complete return of the misappropriated funds is imperative. Renunciation of any entitlement to the house or my military pension. A confession inked and sealed, revealing the truth behind the forgery. In return, I chose not to pursue charges. 6 months had passed since that email from Kandahar, and the divorce was finally finalized. No blame, a decisive separation, when everything is taken into account. It was on that fateful day, the one when the final paperwork was signed, that I received a call from Agent Harris. Today marked the day Travis Ryan received his sentence. 8 years spent in the shadows of fraud, conspiracy, and identity theft. Spencer received a total of 12. I figured you might be interested in this information. I expressed my gratitude, saying thank you. She added, "There's something else. Evidence has emerged indicating that they have perpetrated this against 11 other military families. Your case contributed to the development of the pattern. Because of you, those families may find themselves receiving their money back." Once the call ended, I found myself seated on the porch of my rental apartment, gazing at the fading light of the sunset, contemplating the lives of those other families. Other men who had gone off to war believing their homes and marriages were secure returned to find only desolation waiting for them. It was never in my plans to be the one who would dismantle Travis and Spencer's operation. All I sought was that which belonged to me. Yet there are moments when outcomes unfold in the most surprising of manners. My phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. Text from Emily. It was never my intention for things to conclude like this. Silence enveloped my thoughts, and I chose not to reply. Silence enveloped the moment, leaving no words to bridge the chasm between them. 1 year later, I parted ways with the house. It became unbearable to continue living there. Countless memories linger, each one steeped in betrayal within those walls. With the funds in hand, I set out to acquire a quaint cabin nestled just outside of Missoula, Montana. 2 bedrooms, 10 acres of land with a creek meandering behind it. For miles around, there were no neighbors to be found. After years of dedicated service, I made the decision to embrace early retirement from the Army. 2 decades felt like more than enough. I had offered more than enough. I have welcomed a dog into my life, a German shepherd by the name of Scout, embarked on a journey of carpentry crafting for the locals. It wasn't extravagant yet. It occupied my hands and covered the expenses. The remainder was taken care of by my military pension. At times, Emily would cross my mind. She found herself pondering the destination of her journey. David caught wind of her return to her hometown in Oregon, employed at a different dental practice. It seems I'm beginning anew, I suppose. I no longer felt hatred towards her. To be honest, I didn't feel much of anything for her. She had made her choices, and I had made mine as well. One evening, a letter arrived from a woman in Fort Worth. With her husband serving in the Navy deployed far from home, Travis and Spencer saw an opportunity to execute their scheme against her. Her name had crossed paths with mine through the FBI, woven into the fabric of the case. She wrote, "You don't know me, yet you were the one who rescued our home. Thank you for standing your ground when it would have been simpler to turn your back." After reading it twice, I decided to pin it to my refrigerator. On certain days when the silence became overwhelming, or the memories cut deep, I would gaze at that letter and recall that amidst it all, something good had emerged. As far as I know, Travis remains behind bars. Spencer as well. For once, the system functioned as intended. I was navigating my path ahead. On a tranquil day, one moment unfolds after another, creating something fresh, something impervious to theft, deception, or treachery, something that belonged solely to me.